So, at the start, we started with every image embodies a way of seeing. And this is from John Berger's Ways of Seeing that was first published in 1972, and it's based on the TV series of the same name. And Berger talks about art and the role of art in society now, and how when we're looking at art from hundreds of years ago, we're looking at it out of context, and we're imposing our knowledge now on a discipline or on a work to which it really bears little relevance. Berger also says that we only see what we look at, but we never look at just one thing. We're always looking at things in the relation between it and ourselves. So, for example, if you see somebody or a culture or a language or a discipline, what is it that you're thinking about it? Is that revealing as much about you as a subject, or is it revealing something about society? So every image embodies a way of seeing, and today I'd like you to think of image as a perception or a stereotype. And if this isn't something you've thought about before, I'd like you to think about it in your own lives. So do you have an image of yourself that you find is very different to how people see you? Or do you feel that your culture, your language, or your family, or a subject you like, your school even, wherever you're from, has a certain image as well? And what does that reveal about society? So what were your images of science and music? I asked you to think of the 3 words, or listed 3 words that popped into your head when you thought of science, and I compiled them all, and these were the top ones. Experiments, biology, discovery, chemistry, difficult, theory, hypothesis, and chemicals. So from this image, if I put this into Google, what I got was this. I put in science, and I got what you really tried to describe: chemicals, chemistry, experiments, difficult, hypothesis, theories. So is this your image, or is it society's? Or does it tell me that most of you are studying chemistry and biology in school and not physics, and you're currently doing a lot of experiments? Then I asked you to do the same thing with music, and these were the words that came up top. Sounds, creativity, rhythm, fun, relax, free, beat, expression, dance, and singing. And if I were to capture all of these words in an image, you would get something like this: a picture trying to capture what sound looks like. Or this: people going around having fun, dancing, free, relaxing. So again, when I put music or musicians into Google, this is the image I got. It also tells me that perhaps your relationship with music is you listen to it a lot. You use it during your spare time. But it's the surface image. It doesn't actually reveal the whole picture. I gave you 30 words, the same 30 words for science and music, and I asked you to assign the words to each discipline. Science is blue. You can see the top words was research, discovery, intelligence, work, facts, explore, measurements, logical, curiosity, and understanding. And you can see how you thought about these words in relation to music on the bottom. So they're quite separated, as in anything you associate with science, you tend not to associate it with music. And similarly, the top words for music: sound, creativity, emotional, talent, imagination, fun, instruments, entertainment, and interpretation. They're really, the gap between science and music in this case is even bigger. So it's telling me that Chris is never emotional, not talented, little fun. And then for people who prefer to look at words and figures, this is the same thing. So I want to just pick up on some of the words that weren't really highlighted too much for one or the other. So work, so scientists work more than Alex does, for example. Chris is probably more intelligent than Alex. Chris is not as fun as Alex, though, and Alex is more talented than Chris, and neither of them practice that much, actually, in what they do.
Practice is a really funny one, which we'll talk about in a while.
And Chris is not creative, but Alex is. So what I'm really interested in is the practice one, actually, because it would suggest that intelligence is what science exists on alone, and talent is what really makes music exist, that there's not really much effort put into it. When I Googled musicians at work, this is what I got. It kind of fits into the stereotype, having fun, you know, relaxing, talented. And when I Googled scientists at work, very serious stuff, looking all intelligent with their chemicals again and lab coats. But when I Googled scientists happy, I had to actually put in scientists happy at work to get an image like this. Now, I then was thinking, well, what will I Google for musicians at work that's going to be any different, that's not happy? So I put in intelligent musicians, and I got this. 20 heavy metal musicians who are smarter than you think they are. Why is this even a title? Why are we even thinking about intelligence? Why do we assume that if you do the arts, you're actually not intelligent? Or this, 10 reasons to play a musical instrument. There's always a justification. You should play a musical instrument, and it's never because it's really interesting. It's play a musical instrument because it will help you with maths, or it will improve your brain, or will fight off dementia, something like this. But we should be really looking at the subject for its own sake and not a means to another end. I asked you to name 2 subjects that you liked, you enjoyed the most, and why. And I was interested in the why more than the actual subjects, but all subjects were represented. Despite what subjects you did, these are the words that came up: interesting, fun, rewarding. You liked discovering things. It was enjoyable, manageable. You liked improving. It was eye-opening. You liked investigating. It was challenging. I'm good at it. And then I asked you to name 2 subjects that you didn't like and why. And in the responses, there were more clear-cut responses. So the first was really about connection and curiosity. And the second one, it was mostly dismissed. It's boring. It's difficult. But there was no real explanation other than you did not connect with it. Not enjoyable. I'm not good at it. And this one I found the most interesting is it's just not for me. Because sometimes it's just not for you. It's not that the subject is better or worse, it's just that it's not for you. So what does it tell us? It tells us there is a narrative in science and music. And even if the narrative is positive in science, we shouldn't just accept it. But also, there are things in science that are not necessarily true. So, like, can you really not be talented in science? And are you really not creative in science? But it also tells us that if we don't challenge this narrative, what can happen is, what is the impact? We have, in some cases, science being met with approval for CAO forms, and the arts met with a question. Can you get a job with that? It's the same in this case. I mean, science is definitely always considered an important part of the curriculum, but arts is generally, or music even, is fighting for its place in the curriculum in certain countries, or justifying its position in the world. My relationship with science is that I lived with scientists for several years, and some of them are my closest friends. And I was always amazed at how much commonality was between our work in research. But I was equally amazed when I met people. My friends were always met in awe. Oh, wow, you do science. Oh, my God, you must be so intelligent, without knowing exactly what they actually do. And I was met with the question, how can you do research in music? Oh, does that not destroy it for you? What's the point in that? But as long as a world has existed, science is going to try and understand the world. But as long as we inhabit the world, arts is about understanding the people in that world. They're just 2 different viewpoints of the world. My relationship with music is education and research. So all the things that you don't associate with music is actually what I do. So I do research in the same way people do research in science. I like discovering things. I've always had work. I have to work with an element of facts. I can't just make things up. I like exploring. There's a systematic approach I take that's logical. I like trying to understand things. I like trying to understand what can we learn about humanity through music. And I'd like to think I'm curious. So, for example, what could happen if Music Generation did an event for Science Week with Alex and Chris? And I'm going to hand over to Alex now.